The night was quiet, the kind of quiet that felt heavy in the air. Ethan Walker walked home from his late engineering shift, his backpack hanging loosely on his shoulder. He lived alone in a small town at the edge of the forest, and he liked the silence. But tonight the silence felt different. It felt tense, as if the world was holding its breath. As he crossed the old wooden bridge, the sky above him suddenly flashed with a strange bright ripple, not lightning, not a plane, nothing he had ever seen before. The air vibrated around him, the sound humming deep inside his chest like a heartbeat. Ethan froze, staring up, confused and amazed at the same time. Then something fell from the sky, not like a shooting star, not like a meteor, but like a body crashing toward the earth. The impact shook the trees, shaking loose leaves that drifted around him like falling ash. Ethan ran toward the place where it landed, his instincts pushing him forward faster than his fear. When he reached the clearing, he saw her, a woman, or someone who looked like a woman, lying on the ground with faint blue light pulsing from her skin. Her body was covered in metallic armor that looked half broken, and glowing blue blood dripped from her arm. Her eyes opened slowly, revealing a strange and beautiful silver glow. Ethan stepped closer, his breath catching. He had never seen anything like her. She was not human, he knew it instantly, not from fear, but from the way the air around her felt different, charged with energy he couldn't explain. "Don't come near me," she whispered weakly, her voice trembling like a vibrating string. "Do not help me. Do not touch me, and do not love me, I am not human." Ethan blinked, shocked, his heart raced, but something inside him refused to run away. She was injured, alone, and scared. She needed help. "You're hurt," he said, moving closer. "Let me help you." She pushed herself up slightly, her face tightening in pain. "No," she breathed, "if you help me, you will regret it. My kind is dangerous to human hearts. You must stay away." But Ethan did not listen. He knelt beside her and reached out, and the moment his hand touched her arm, a strange spark shot up his skin like warm electricity. She gasped softly, her eyes widening as if she felt it too. "Stop," she whispered, "you don't understand. I can't be near humans, I warned you." "You're bleeding," Ethan said, ignoring her warning, pulling off his jacket to wrap her round. "That matters more right now." Her breath shook, but she didn't pull away this time. Instead she stared at him, studying him as if he was the strange one. She watched how carefully he tied the cloth, how calm his hands were, how gentle he was even though the situation was terrifying. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. "You do not know what I am." "You're someone who needs help," Ethan replied simply. "That's enough reason." A faint blue glow formed around her body as she breathed. Her appearance shimmered for a moment, revealing a hint of alien patterns tracing her skin like glowing circuits. She quickly forced the glow to fade, looking frightened by her own energy. "You must not see me like this," she whispered. "My enemies are searching for me, and they will not stop until they find me." As if her words summoned danger, a distant echo rolled through the forest, a metallic buzzing, sharp and unnatural. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. She tensed, her silver eyes darkening. "They are close. If they find me with you, they will kill you without hesitation." Ethan stood up and helped her sit. "Then we need to move now," he said with determination. "You can't stay out here." She shook her head, panic rising in her voice. "Human, listen to me. If I stay near you, something will happen, something my kind cannot allow. You must let me leave." But when she tried to stand, her legs gave out, and Ethan caught her before she collapsed again. That same strange energy pulsed between them, warmer this time, stronger. She inhaled sharply, her eyes locking onto his as if she sensed something dangerous awakening inside her. "Why?" she whispered. "Why does my energy react to you?" "I don't know," Ethan said, "but right now, you need safety. Come with me." Footsteps cracked through the forest, metallic and heavy. Ethan's heart raced. They were coming, whoever they were. He slid her arm over his shoulder and started guiding her toward the trees. "You risk your life for a stranger," she said, staring at him, disbelief and something else mixing in her voice. "You are either brave, or foolish." "Maybe both," Ethan said with a small smile, "but I'm not leaving you out here." The forest grew darker as they moved, shadows shifting, the strange metallic footsteps echoing closer and closer. The alien woman, who had warned him so many times not to help, not to love, not to care, held on to him even though she didn't want to. And without realizing it, Ethan stepped into a world he never knew existed, a world where one warning could change his entire destiny. A world where a heart could choose someone who wasn't human at all. Her alien truth. Ethan pushed through the trees with the injured woman leaning against him. Her steps were light but shaky, and every time she stumbled he felt her grip tighten on his arm. The forest around them seemed alive with strange sounds, the metallic hunters moving somewhere behind them, searching, scanning, getting closer. He guided her toward his old cabin hidden deep in the woods, a place no one visited, not even his co-workers. The lights were off, and the cabin was quiet. Ethan slowly opened the creaking door and helped her inside. He locked it behind them, breathing hard, his heart pounding. The woman leaned against the wall, her silver eyes dimming. "You should not have brought me here," she whispered. "They will find us." "Not easily," Ethan replied, closing the curtains. "This place is off the grid, no one knows it exists." She watched him carefully, her expression unreadable. There was fear in her eyes, but not fear of the hunters, fear of him, fear of herself, fear of something deeper she refused to explain. "What's your name?" Ethan asked softly. She hesitated, as if her name itself was dangerous to reveal. "Liara," she said finally, the word flowing like music. "I am Liara of the Venerians." Ethan blinked, trying to understand. "Venerians," he repeated, "is that your species?" She nodded weakly. "My kind is ancient, older than your world's history. We live far beyond your stars. We are warriors, protectors, and prisoners of our own power." Ethan knelt beside her, watching how the soft blue lines on her skin pulsed gently, like glowing veins under her armor. "Why were you running?" he asked. "Why are they hunting you?" Liara's breath shook, her eyes closing for a moment. "Because I broke a vow," she whispered, "a vow my people have never broken, a vow to never form emotional connection with anyone not of our kind." Ethan frowned, confused. "That's why they want to capture you?" "No," she said, shaking her head softly, "there is more. A Venerian bond is different. When we feel something, it becomes energy, it becomes power, it can shape our destiny, it can even destroy us." Ethan felt a chill spread through him. "What does that have to do with me?" Liara slowly lifted her hand, the faint blue glow radiating from her fingertips. "When you touched me," she said, "my energy reacted. That should not be possible. Humans and Venerians are not compatible. Our energies cannot connect, should not connect." Ethan remembered the warmth, the spark, the strange feeling that moved through him when he touched her. "I felt something too," he said quietly. Liara's eyes widened with fear, not surprise. "That is the problem," she whispered. "It means a bond is forming." "A bond?" Ethan asked, his voice low. "What kind of bond?" She exhaled shakily, her voice trembling. "A soul bond." Ethan stared, unsure if he heard her correctly. Liara continued, "When a Venerian's soul resonates with another, their destinies intertwine, their emotions merge, their hearts align. If the bond completes, nothing can break it." She stepped back slightly, as if afraid of getting too close to him again. "That is why I warned you not to help me, not to touch me, not to care." "But why is that so dangerous?" Ethan asked. Liara closed her eyes, a single glowing tear rolling down her cheek. "Because my people fear what happens when we bond with a human heart. They say it creates power beyond control, it can change a Venerian forever, and it can change a human in ways your world is not ready to understand." Ethan felt a tightness in his chest, part fear, part curiosity, part something he could not name. Liara leaned against the table, breathing deeply. "When I saw you in the forest, my heart stirred. That has never happened before, and when you touched me, the bond began to awaken." "But you don't even know me," Ethan whispered. "That is why it is forbidden," she said. "We do not choose the bond, it chooses us." Her body glowed faintly, the light flickering through her armor. She looked both strong and fragile, powerful yet broken. "So let me understand," Ethan said slowly, "you're being hunted because you're bonding with me." Liara shook her head. "I was already being hunted before I met you. I refused to follow an order that would endanger Earth." That surprised Ethan. "You protected Earth?" he asked. "Yes," she said quietly, "your world is innocent, it does not deserve the war my people fight. I disobeyed my commander, Commander Varric, and disobedience in the Venerian Empire, is death. Ethan felt anger rising inside him. So you risked your life to protect humans? Liara nodded, yes, and now I risk more, because the bond with you is growing stronger every moment we stay together. She took a slow step toward him, her eyes reflecting the dim cabin light. Ethan, she whispered, you must understand something. If this bond completes, your life will change forever. You will feel what I feel, you will carry my pain, my strength, my destiny. Ethan held her gaze, his heartbeat steady. And what if I'm willing to take that risk? Liara's breath caught, her hand trembling. Then you do not understand the cost. Before Ethan could respond, a loud mechanical noise echoed from outside the cabin, the windows shook, and the floor vibrated. Liara's eyes snapped toward the sound, panic filling them. They found us, she whispered, the hunters, they are here. Ethan stood beside her, not stepping back, not letting fear take over. Then we faced them together, he said firmly. Liara stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. You are human, she whispered, but your heart does not fear. And yours does, Ethan said softly, but you're still standing. The glowing patterns on her skin brightened, and she lifted her hand, her energy forming a soft blue aura around both of them. For the first time, she did not resist the bond. Outside, shadows moved closer. Inside, something powerful awakened between them. A bond no warning could stop. A truth no enemy could destroy. When the enemy arrived, the cabin shook again, this time harder, dust falling from the wooden beams above them. Ethan felt the vibration travel through the floorboard straight into his legs, but Liara felt it even deeper, her silver eyes sharpening, her breath growing cold. She knew exactly what that sound meant. They are here, she whispered, her voice trembling like a blade drawn too fast, the Venerian hunters. Ethan looked toward the door, gripping the metal flashlight in his hand as if it were a weapon. He wasn't a fighter, he wasn't a soldier, he wasn't anything close to what Liara was, but fear did not push him back, instead it pushed him forward, closer to her. What do they want? He asked, his voice low. Liara took a slow breath, the blue markings on her skin glowing brighter with each passing second. Their mission is simple, she said, capture me alive, or kill anyone who stands in their way. Ethan felt his stomach twist, but he did not step back. Then we need a plan, he said firmly. Liara stared at him, shocked by his courage. You would stand against my hunters, she asked softly. Ethan, these are not ordinary soldiers, they were trained from birth, they are enhanced, they have no mercy. Ethan met her gaze without blinking. I'm not leaving you, he said simply. For a moment, something warm flickered behind Liara's eyes, something she had tried to suppress, something she feared more than death. The bond. But there was no time to speak of it. A sharp metallic click echoed from outside, followed by the sound of heavy armored footsteps crushing dried leaves and snapping small branches. Liara's body tensed. They brought more than one squad, she whispered, they expect me to resist. Ethan stepped beside her, then we resist. Liara closed her eyes for 1 second, trying to calm her racing heart, a human defending her. This broke every rule her people ever created, and yet, it felt right, it felt necessary. She lifted her hand, a soft blue shield forming around them both. Stay close to me, she said, do not move away from my side, not for any reason. Ethan nodded. The cabin door suddenly bent inward with a loud crunch, as if something massive struck it. A second impact followed, stronger, the wooden frame cracking. Liara pulled Ethan behind the table, her breathing sharp. They are breaking in, she warned. A moment later, the door crashed open, splinters exploding across the room. 3 tall figures stepped inside, their armor dark and shining with blue lights. Their helmets were smooth and faceless, except for the glowing symbols etched across them. Their movements were precise, calculated, terrifying. The tallest one spoke first, his voice metallic and cold. Liara of the Venerian Empire, he announced, you are ordered to surrender. Liara stood slowly, her aura flaring. Ethan felt heat radiating from her as if she were a star walking. I will not return, she said, her voice low but steady. You know why? Your rebellion ends here. the hunter replied, you disobeyed the command, you protected a human world, you risked a bond. His head turned toward Ethan, scanning him, studying him, the human, he said, the one who awakened your resonance. Liara stepped in front of Ethan instantly, her energy forming a shield around him. He is under my protection, she warned. The hunter tilted his head, then he dies first. Before Ethan could react, the hunter raised an electrified weapon and fired a bolt of violet energy straight toward him. Ethan felt the air twist, the force rushing like a punch from the universe itself. But Liara moved faster than the lightning. A bright blue shield burst from her hand, absorbing the blast with a sound like shattering glass. The hunters froze, shocked. She activated the bond, one whispered. Liara's voice shook with anger, you will not touch him. The cabin vibrated as her power grew stronger, the blue patterns on her skin shifting like living light. Ethan stared in awe, feeling her energy pulse through the air like a heartbeat connected to his own. The tallest hunter raised his weapon again. Your emotions have corrupted you, he said coldly, you are no longer Venerian. Liara stepped forward, her aura erupting, then I will fight as something else, she declared. With a burst of blue force, she launched herself forward, the cabin shaking from the impact as she struck the first hunter, sending him flying into the wall. Ethan ducked behind the table as sparks showered the floor. The second hunter lunged at Liara, but she spun with inhuman speed, energy slicing through the air. The hunter's armor cracked, glowing fissures spreading like lightning. The third hunter aimed at Ethan again. Ethan scrambled for cover, heart racing, but he knew he couldn't outrun an alien weapon. The shot fired. And Liara appeared in front of him at the last possible second, absorbing the blast directly into her body. She gasped, the impact throwing her backward into Ethan's arms. Liara, Ethan cried, holding her as her knees weakened. The hunters paused, confused by what they saw, a Venerian willingly taking a shot for a human. Such an act was impossible, unthinkable, forbidden. Liara forced herself back to her feet, her voice breaking, you will not harm him. Her aura exploded outward like a blue storm, knocking the hunters off their feet, the ground shaking under the force. But Ethan saw something else. Every time she protected him, the bond grew deeper, stronger, brighter, the blue glow connecting them shimmered like a thread of living energy. The hunters struggled to rise, armor cracked, voices trembling. The bond is almost complete, the leader said, fear finally piercing his metallic tone, if it seals, we cannot stop her. Liara stood tall, her body glowing like a star on the edge of collapse. Then you should run, she said, her voice echoing with power and pain. The hunters retreated, disappearing into the forest shadows to call for reinforcements. The cabin quieted, the dust settling. Ethan rushed to Liara, catching her as she sank to the floor. Her eyes met his, filled with fear and something deeper. Ethan, the bond is awakening too fast, she whispered, and more are coming. Ethan held her tightly, then we face them again, he said softly. Liara's voice trembled, you don't understand. If the bond reaches its final stage, nothing will ever separate us again. Ethan looked at her gently, maybe that's not a bad thing. Liara stared at him with wide, fragile eyes. Her heart was fighting a war her people feared. But her soul had already chosen. The bond they couldn't break. The cabin was silent after the hunters fled, but the silence felt dangerous, heavy, like the calm before a much bigger storm. Ethan held Liara close, her body trembling in his arms, glowing faintly with the unstable energy of the awakening bond. He guided her to sit against the wall, brushing broken wood aside. You need rest, he said softly. Liara shook her head, her silver eyes dull with exhaustion. Rest will not help, she whispered, the bond inside me is destabilizing, it is pulling my energy toward yours, it will only get stronger. Ethan knelt in front of her, his hands gentle but steady. Then tell me what we're dealing with, he said, tell me what this bond really means. Liara hesitated, fear flickering across her face. She looked like someone standing on the edge of a cliff she was terrified to fall from. It is called the Venerian Soul Link, she said finally, her voice almost too soft to hear. It forms only once in a Venerian's lifetime, sometimes never. It chooses, not based on logic or rules, but on resonance, heart, destiny. Ethan leaned forward, listening carefully. Once formed, Liara continued, two lives intertwine, emotions blend, strengths merge, if one suffers, the other feels it, if one grows, the other rises, and if one dies. She stopped, her breath shaking as she lowered her gaze. Ethan swallowed hard, if one dies, the other dies too. Liara nodded softly, yes, that is why my people fear it. They believe a human soul cannot carry the weight of Venerian power, they fear a human heart could break a Venerian one. Ethan sat beside her, feeling the warmth of her energy brush against him. And what do you believe? He asked. Liara looked up at him, her eyes filled with conflict. I believe the bond chose you for a reason, she whispered. I believe you saved me when no one else would. I believe your heart is stronger than you know. He reached out and gently took her hand. She didn't pull away, instead her fingers curled around his instinctively. The faint blue glow around her hand crawled into his, spreading like soft light wrapping around both of them. A quiet connection formed, warm, gentle, impossible to ignore. Liara shivered. That is the resonance, she whispered, the bond is choosing its path. Before Ethan could respond, a deep rumbling echoed through the forest. A low, distant thunder that didn't come from the sky. Liara stiffened immediately, her eyes widening with alarm. That is not the hunters, she whispered, that is something much worse. Ethan stood up quickly. What is it? The Imperial extraction vessel, she said, struggling to rise. Commander Varric himself is coming. Ethan helped her stand, feeling the weight of her body lean into him. She wasn't weak, she was holding back something powerful, something dangerous. Why would he come personally? Ethan asked. Because he believes the bond is almost complete, Liara whispered, and if it completes, even he cannot break it. Outside, through the cracks of the cabin walls, a bright blue spotlight swept across the forest. Searching, hunting, closing in. Liara pressed her hand to her chest, wincing in pain. Ethan, the bond is pulling too fast, my energy is merging with yours. If Varric tries to separate us now, it could destroy both of us. Ethan moved closer, placing his hand over hers. Then we stay together. A flicker of light burst between their hands, small, but bright. Liara gasped softly. The bond is responding to your choice, she whispered. Another rumble shook the ground, the vessel descending through the trees, tearing branches apart with its massive size. Ethan guided Liara to the back door. We need to move, he said. There is no time, Liara replied. He will reach us before we reach the forest. Then what do we do? Ethan asked urgently. Liara closed her eyes, thinking, breathing, fighting the energy that surged through her. There is a place, she said finally, a hidden sanctuary my people built on Earth long ago. It stabilizes Venerian energy, if we reach it. I can protect us both. Where is it? Ethan asked. Liara opened her eyes, the glow in them returning. Not far, she said, but we must trust each other completely to reach it. Ethan didn't hesitate. I trust you. Her breath caught, the bond reacting instantly, glowing brighter. Liara looked away quickly, overwhelmed. It is dangerous when you say such things, she whispered. Human emotions are powerful, too powerful for the bond. Let's go, Ethan said, ignoring the warning. He put her arm over his shoulder again, but this time she didn't resist. Her body pressed close to his, her energy pulsing softly with each step they took together. They walked out into the darkness, dodging the sweeping lights from the vessel above. The ground shook every few seconds as the engines roared. Liara guided him through the thick forest, limping but determined. Ethan supported her weight, each step bringing them closer to the unknown. Halfway through, Liara suddenly stopped, grabbing his hand tightly. Her eyes widened, her breath caught. What's wrong? Ethan whispered. She looked at him with fear and awe mixed together. The bond, it just crossed a new threshold, she said shakily. I can feel your heartbeat inside my mind. Ethan froze. And I can feel yours, he whispered back. Liara's eyes softened, glowing faintly. "Ethan, this is the part of the bond my people fear most," she said, "because once this stage begins, the link becomes unbreakable." Before Ethan could answer, the sky lit up blue. Commander Varric's voice boomed over the forest. "Liara, you cannot escape your fate." Liara squeezed Ethan's hand, her voice trembling. "We must reach the sanctuary. If we fail, Varric will tear us apart." Ethan tightened his grip. "Then we don't fail." They ran deeper into the forest together, their hearts beating in the same rhythm, their energy bound by something neither of them could deny. And behind them, the Empire's greatest warrior prepared to destroy whatever stood in his way. The choice that changed the stars. The forest blurred around them as Ethan and Liara ran, or rather stumbled together through the darkness. The Venerian vessel hovered above the treetops, its blue searchlight slicing through the branches like giant glowing knives. Every rumble of its engines sent vibrations through the ground, pushing fear deeper into Ethan's chest. But Liara held his hand with surprising strength, her energy pulsing rhythmically like a living heartbeat guiding him forward. "We are close," she whispered, her voice weak but certain. "The sanctuary is near." Ethan tightened his grip. "Then we keep going." The bond between them had changed again. Ethan could feel emotions that weren't his, Liara's fear, her pain, her determination, her growing attachment. He didn't just sense her anymore, he felt her. And she felt him too. That truth was written in every shaky breath she took. Behind them, a deep metallic thud shook the earth. Commander Varric had landed. Liara froze, her eyes widening with terror. "He is here," she whispered. A tree exploded behind them as Varric stepped into view, his armor glowing with cold blue fire, twice the size of a human. His presence alone made the air heavy, suffocating. "Liara," he boomed, his voice echoing through the forest like thunder, "you shame our empire with this bond, you betray your bloodline." Liara stepped in front of Ethan despite her injuries, her aura flaring painfully bright. "I did what was right," she said, "I protected a world that did not deserve destruction." Varric pointed his spear toward Ethan. "And you bound yourself to a fragile creature of this planet," he growled. "Break the bond now, or watch him die." Liara shook her head fiercely. "I will not break it." Varric's eyes burned behind his helmet. "Then I will." He lunged forward with terrifying speed, the ground cracking beneath his weight. Liara shoved Ethan aside and threw up a shield. The impact shook the entire clearing, blue sparks exploding into the air. Ethan fell to the ground, the impact echoing through his bones, but he felt something else too. Liara's pain. A sharp, burning ache through his chest. He gasped, clutching his heart. "Liara, stop, it's hurting you." Liara didn't move away, she pushed harder, her aura flaring violently, her voice trembled as she spoke. "The sanctuary is behind you, Ethan, you must go, now." He struggled to breathe. "I'm not leaving you." She turned her head, silver eyes glowing with something powerful, desperate, and heartbreaking. "If you stay, he will kill you. And if I leave, he will kill you," Ethan shot back. Varric slammed his spear into the ground again, sending a shockwave that forced Ethan against a tree. "The human is weak," he said coldly. "He cannot carry your power, he cannot survive your bond." Liara's aura exploded in fury. "You do not decide that." She rushed at Varric with a speed Ethan could barely follow, their powers clashing like two thunderstorms colliding. Each strike lit up the forest, sending waves of energy shaking the leaves. But Varric was stronger. He slammed Liara into the ground, grabbing her throat, forcing her to her knees. Ethan's breath caught, the pain inside him rising like fire. He could feel her fear, her struggle, her weakening heartbeat. Varric raised his spear. "The bond ends now." Ethan pushed himself to his feet, every muscle trembling. "Stop," he shouted. Liara's eyes snapped open at his voice. The bond surged, glowing bright enough to burn the air. Ethan took a step forward, then another, the world spinning around him. Varric looked at him with disgust. "A human dares interfere." But Liara whispered something only Ethan felt, not heard. Her voice inside his mind, fragile but alive. "Come to me." Ethan moved as if pulled by fate itself, the bond guiding his steps. He ran toward her. Toward danger. Toward destiny. Varric thrust his spear toward Ethan. Liara screamed. But Ethan didn't stop. He placed his hand on Liara's back. The bond burst like a star. Light exploded across the forest. Blue and white mixing into a blinding wave. Varric was thrown back violently, crashing into the trees with a roar. His armor cracked, sparks flying out. Liara collapsed into Ethan's arms, breathing hard. Her blue markings glowing bright and steady. "It's complete," she whispered, tears glowing on her cheeks, "the bond, it's complete." Ethan felt it too. A warmth spreading through his body. A connection that was more than emotion, more than thought. Their hearts beating in perfect rhythm. Varric stood again, furious, stumbling forward with broken armor. "You have doomed yourself," he growled, "both of you." Liara rose slowly, supported by Ethan. Her aura now stable, powerful, unbreakable. "The bond makes us stronger," she said softly, "stronger than you." Varric attacked one last time. But Liara and Ethan lifted their hands together. Their combined energy forming a brilliant blue shield stronger than anything she could create alone. The blast sent Varric flying into the air. He vanished into the trees with a final scream. The forest fell silent. Liara leaned against Ethan, trembling with relief. "Ethan," she whispered, "we survived." Ethan held her tightly. "We did it." Liara rested her forehead against his, her voice barely audible. "The Empire will feel this bond, and they may no longer see Earth as a threat. The future will change because of us." Ethan smiled softly, "Then let's change it together." Liara closed her eyes, her voice warm and full. "My heart chose you, long before I understood it." And for the first time in her life. Liara, the alien warrior who once feared human love, allowed herself to feel safe. In the arms of the human who refused to let her walk alone. Together, they walked into the night. Two souls bound by destiny. Their bond shining bright enough to change the stars.